Helping shape the way a wine feels is the most important thing a winemaker does, I think. Hi, Kent Mirassou. I'm the winemaker for the Stephen Kent Winery in the Livermore Valley, and the glasses I'm showing in front of you are a little texture experiment that we're running. Surly aging, you've probably heard of it, is the aging of wine after fermentation on the dead yeast cells and other fine physical pieces that exist after fermentation is done. Little bits of grape skin and seed and leaf and whatever else might remain there before you've done your final racking. Help contribute to the texture of the wines and the sense of richness or acid or length, mouthfeel, that sort of thing that the winemaker's ultimately after. Two different sets of wine here. The red wine, is Cabernet Franc, the white wine Chardonnay. It's very common to age Chardonnay on the lees, called surly aging, in order to impart richness, flavor, in order to protect the wine while it is in wood for 8 months to 2 years, depending upon the style of wine you're trying to create. The wine on the left is Cabernet Franc. Both of these wines are 2015 vintage. And the reason we're aging the Cabernet Franc in the lees is not something that's typical in California anyway for red wines. Is 15 gave us a beautifully, vibrantly sexy version of Cabernet Franc. It's also a version of Cabernet Franc that's pretty low in alcohol. So whatever richness we might have gained from alcohol isn't there. So we're looking at surly aging as a way of helping to create a little bit of roundness in the mouth for this wine, and to give it a little bit of mid-palate to finishing heft without getting in the way of the beautiful acidity and the amazing flavors that we're getting in this wine. As you can see, as I'm sort of panning down the row here, the wines on the left of each set are barrels that haven't been stirred at all. The middle wine for each set is a barrel that I took a sample from before we stirred it, and then the next glass is that same barrel after stirring. So you can definitely see some clarity differences here between glasses 1 and 2 and glass 3. After tasting through these wines and making notes, what I found really interesting is there definitely is a difference in richness to the wines, even the wines in the before glass compared to the unstirred barrel. And that's really kind of what we're looking for, because by the time we're ready to bottle these wines, we will have stopped stirring the barrels weeks before that. So there will have been complete settling of the wines. There will have been racking of the wines from the quote-unquote dirty barrel to the clean barrel. So what we're really going to be getting in real life is the before sense, the before barrel sense, in that the wine has settled out. We stir it once a week, basically. So the wines will have settled down again. You can see that in the Chardonnay, which is more obvious, that the before barrel isn't quite as crystal clear as the unstirred barrel, but it's pretty darn close. I would have no hesitation releasing a wine that looked like that, Chardonnay. Same thing is true with the Cabernet Franc. The before barrel is showing a definite texture difference and a richness increase from the unstirred barrel. It also shows a little bit more plumminess of fruit, a little less of that exotic herbal quality that we're getting in the unstirred barrel, which is very typical of Cabernet Franc, especially Cabernet Franc grown in the Loire Valley in France. In the Chardonnays, very similar kind of thing. We're getting a more fruit-dominant perspective in the unstirred barrel, and the other two barrels are showing increasing richness. Interestingly enough, though, in both of the Cabernet Franc and Chardonnay examples, the after-stirring barrels showed dramatically more acidity on the finish than the before-stirring barrel. I think that's just a function of the wines being stirred up and having a more homogeneous example of the wine than in the before stirring barrel, in the sense that the thief that we use, a little glass tube basically that only reaches down to about 6 or 7 inches into the barrel. So you're getting what's there. You're not getting what's below that. With the after stirred barrel, it's a more homogeneous mixture. There aren't gradations of clearness or texture that you might otherwise get in the before stirred barrel. So the acidity that is in the wine, I think ultimately will be in the wine, is showing more obviously in the after stirred barrel. This is something that we do every year, and we'll continue to do maybe even more than a year on the Cabernet Franc, depending upon how we like the results as we get further down the pathway here. But this is just a way that winemakers build complexity, help to shape the way that the consumer tastes the wine, the way the wine feels to people who drink the wine, and I'm excited about the results so far. We'll report again down the road. We'll see how things are changing in 3-4 months or so, and we'll talk to you soon.